We say we trust God's timing, yet we struggle when nothing seems to happen. The waiting feels long, the silence feels heavy. But what if this season is not about waiting at all? What if God is actively preparing something far greater than we expected? Many believers walk through this stage without recognizing it, and that is what makes it dangerous. Because sometimes, the moment we feel most alone is the moment God is working most intentionally in our lives. Number 1, the right person draws you closer to God. Not every connection that feels strong is sent by God. That truth alone has quietly redirected many lives. One of the clearest signs that God may be revealing your soulmate is not found in how intense the feelings are, but in what the connection produces spiritually. Because when something is truly from God, it will never pull you away from Him. It will draw you closer. You may begin to notice a subtle but powerful shift. Conversations start to change. What once centered around attraction or surface-level excitement begins to carry weight. You talk about purpose, you reflect on faith, you feel encouraged to pray more, not out of pressure, but out of desire. And even when no one says it directly, there's a shared awareness that God is present in the connection. Scripture consistently reveals this pattern. When God brings two people together, their union aligns with His purpose. In Ecclesiastes 4:12, it says that a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. That third strand is God Himself. Without Him, the relationship may feel strong, but it will not be sustained in the same way. It is also important to recognize the contrast. Some relationships feel exciting at first, but slowly weaken your discipline, your clarity, and your spiritual focus. You begin to compromise in small ways. You drift without realizing it. But when the right person enters your life, the opposite happens. You become more grounded, more aware, more aligned. This is not accidental, it is intentional. Because a God-centered relationship is not built only on love, it is built on direction. And when God is the center, both people begin moving toward Him together, not away from Him. Number 2, God starts removing the wrong people. Sometimes the clearest answer from God does not come through what He gives, but through what He takes away. There are seasons when relationships begin to shift in ways you did not expect. People who once felt close become distant. Conversations lose their depth. What used to feel natural now feels forced. At first, it can leave you questioning everything. You may wonder if you did something wrong, or why connections that once mattered so much are no longer holding together. But throughout Scripture, God often prepares the future by closing doors in the present. Before Ruth encountered Boaz, her life was marked by loss and separation. What seemed like an ending was actually a repositioning. God was not removing something valuable. He was making room for something aligned. In your own life, this process can feel uncomfortable because it disrupts familiarity. You may try to hold on, to fix what is fading, to recreate what once worked. Yet the more you try, the more resistance you feel. That tension is not always a sign to fight harder. Sometimes it is a sign to release. There is a difference between a relationship that requires effort and one that constantly pulls you out of alignment. When someone is not part of where God is leading you, staying connected can quietly delay what He is trying to build. Not every goodbye is a loss. Some are acts of protection that you only understand later. God does not remove without purpose. When He clears certain people from your life, it is rarely random. It is often precise. Because before the right person can step in, the space must first be prepared. Number 3, God begins changing your heart. Before anything around you changes, God often begins with something far less visible, but far more important. There are moments when you start to notice that your desires are no longer the same. What once satisfied you now feels empty. Certain habits lose their appeal. Environments you used to enjoy begin to feel out of place. It is not always dramatic. In fact, it is usually quiet, but it is consistent. Instead of focusing on finding someone, your attention slowly shifts inward. You become more aware of your thoughts, your intentions, your spiritual life. You feel drawn to pray more deeply, not out of routine, but out of a genuine need for guidance. There is a growing sense that God is doing something within you that you cannot ignore. This pattern is seen clearly throughout the Bible. Before Isaac met Rebekah, before Boaz noticed Ruth, before Adam received Eve, God had already established something within them. Their lives were not built around chasing a relationship, they were being shaped for one. At times, this inner transformation can feel uncomfortable. Growth often requires letting go. You may find yourself stepping away from things that once defined you. You may even feel a sense of isolation as your priorities begin to change. But that discomfort carries purpose. Because God is not only preparing someone for you, He is preparing you for someone. When your heart begins to align with His will, your decisions change, your standards rise, and your direction becomes clearer. And in that process, you are no longer simply waiting for the right person. You are becoming ready to recognize them when they appear. Number 4, you feel led to become the person you have been praying for. A quiet question may begin to follow you in unexpected moments. Not where is the person meant for me, but who am I becoming right now? This shift does not arrive all at once. It unfolds gradually, almost like a conviction that grows stronger over time. You start to see relationships differently. Instead of focusing on what you want to receive, you begin thinking about what you are able to give. Character becomes more important than chemistry. Integrity begins to matter more than attraction. You may notice yourself becoming more intentional with your time. You guard your habits more carefully. You become less tolerant of attitudes that once seemed harmless. There is a deeper awareness that the life you are building now will affect the relationship you step into later. Scripture reflects this principle again and again. Before significant relationships were formed, individuals were already walking in the qualities that would sustain them. Boaz was known for his integrity long before Ruth entered his life. Rebekah demonstrated kindness before she ever met Isaac. These were not sudden changes. They were established patterns. What you are experiencing may feel like pressure at times. Growth often does. But this is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming aligned. God is shaping your mindset, your discipline, and your priorities so that when the right connection comes, it does not feel like something you have to force. Instead, it fits into who you have become. Because a lasting relationship is not built on two people hoping things will work out. It is built on two people who have already allowed God to work within them individually. And that kind of preparation never happens by accident. Number 5, you experience a deep and unexplainable peace. There is a kind of peace that does not depend on circumstances. It does not rise and fall with emotions. It does not need constant reassurance to survive. And when it appears, it often signals that God is involved. Many people expect love to feel overwhelming, filled with intensity and excitement. But when God is guiding something, the atmosphere is different. Instead of confusion, there is steadiness. Instead of pressure, there is rest. Even when the future is still unclear, something within you feels settled. You may not be able to explain it logically. There is no dramatic moment, no sudden certainty about every detail. Yet beneath the surface, there is a quiet confidence that you are not forcing anything. You are not chasing. You are not trying to make something work. You are simply walking in step with what God is unfolding. The Bible speaks directly to this kind of peace. In Colossians 3:15, it says to let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. That word rule carries the idea of guidance, like a deciding voice within you. When something is misaligned, that peace is absent, you feel tension, hesitation, and unrest. But when God is present, even uncertainty does not disturb your spirit in the same way. This does not mean everything will be easy. Challenges may still come, questions may still arise, but the foundation feels different. It is not built on fear or urgency. It is built on trust. Because when God reveals something meaningful, He does not lead through chaos. He leads through peace that remains, even when everything else is still being revealed. Number 6, God delays the timing on purpose. It is easy to trust God when things are moving forward. It becomes much harder when nothing seems to be happening at all. There are seasons when you feel ready for a relationship, yet everything remains still. No clear opportunities, no meaningful connections, just silence where you expected progress. At first, it may feel frustrating. You may question why God would place the desire in your heart but not fulfill it immediately. But throughout Scripture, delay is rarely denial. It is often direction. Before Abraham received the promise, there was a long period of waiting. Before Joseph stepped into his calling, he went through years of obscurity and testing. God was not withholding without reason. He was preparing timing that would align with purpose. In your own life, this delay may be protecting you from stepping into something too early. You might feel ready emotionally, but God sees what is ahead. He understands the weight of the relationship you are praying for, and He knows what still needs to be built within you before it can be sustained. Waiting also reveals what truly matters in your heart. It separates desire from dependence. It teaches you to trust God's process rather than your own urgency. This kind of delay can feel uncomfortable because it forces you to release control. You cannot rush it. You cannot manufacture it. You are invited to trust. Because when God writes the timing, it will not feel forced or premature. It will feel right, not just in your emotions, but in your spirit. And what arrives at the right time will always carry a different kind of peace than something you rush to create on your own. Number 7, you begin losing interest in superficial connections. Not every shift in your relationships comes from something going wrong. Sometimes it comes from something within you growing right. There may come a point where conversations that once entertained you start to feel empty. You listen, you engage, but something is missing. The excitement fades faster. The connection feels thin. It is not that people suddenly changed, it is that your depth did. You may notice yourself pulling back, not out of pride, but out of discernment. Small talk becomes draining. Attention without purpose no longer satisfies you. You begin to crave something more meaningful, something rooted in truth rather than appearance. This kind of change is not accidental. It often happens when God is refining your standards. He begins to reshape what you are drawn to, not just outwardly, but spiritually. What once looked attractive now feels incomplete. What once felt enough now feels lacking. In the Bible, transformation often starts internally before it becomes visible externally. When your heart matures, your desires follow. You no longer pursue connections just because they are available. You begin to recognize the difference between attention and alignment. At times, this shift can feel isolating. You may find yourself stepping away from spaces you once fit into easily. You may even wonder why it suddenly feels harder to connect with people. But this is not a step backward, it is a narrowing of focus. Because when you are no longer satisfied with what is shallow, you become capable of recognizing what is real. And often, that is exactly where God begins guiding you next. Number 8, you enter a season of spiritual isolation. There are moments when your life becomes quieter than you expected. Not peaceful in the beginning, but unfamiliar. The voices that once filled your days grow distant. The connections you relied on are no longer as present. And without warning, you find yourself spending more time alone than you ever planned. At first, it can feel like something is missing. You may interpret the silence as loss or even rejection. You look around and notice that others seem surrounded by relationships while your world feels reduced. Questions begin to surface. Why is this happening now? Why does it feel like everything is slowing down? Yet in many places throughout Scripture, God uses isolation as a place of preparation. Moses spent years in the wilderness before stepping into leadership. David lived in hidden seasons before becoming king. Even Jesus withdrew to solitary places to pray before major moments in his ministry. These were not empty periods, they were intentional. Isolation removes distractions that are easy to depend on. It creates space where your attention is no longer divided. In that space, your awareness of God becomes sharper. You begin to hear more clearly. You begin to see yourself more honestly. And slowly, what once felt like emptiness starts to carry meaning. This season is not designed to leave you alone. It is designed to align you deeply. Because when fewer voices are speaking into your life, the one that truly matters becomes easier to recognize. And when that clarity is established, you are no longer entering relationships out of need. You are entering them from a place of understanding, stability, and purpose. If there's one truth to take from this video, it's this. God is not randomly bringing someone into your life. He is intentionally preparing your heart, removing what doesn't belong, and aligning you for something far greater than you can see right now. And if this spoke to you, the next video on your screen will show you the habits that quietly lower your value and pull you away from the woman God is calling you to become. Things most people never even realize, but can change everything. If this message encouraged you, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share what you felt in the comments below. Stay in faith, trust His timing, and I'll see you in the next video.